Madeline, you can't be in the official photos. Your skin, well, you clash with the young and clean vibe I want on my Instagram. You look old. My daughter-in-law actually said that to me at the wedding I'd paid $300,000 for, while she waited for me to hand over the keys to my $5 million mansion. You should have seen her face when the lawyer read the new will instead. But let me back up, because the real story started 6 hours earlier when I arrived at the Peninsula Hotel in my Chanel dress, believing I was about to celebrate my only son's happiness. Before I tell you what happened when that lawyer opened his briefcase, have you ever been treated as invisible by the very people you sacrificed everything for? Have you ever smiled through cruelty because you wanted to keep the peace, only to realize that your silence was being mistaken for weakness? If you know this pain, comment below. You are not alone. Subscribe to the channel because here we don't just get angry, we get our revenge. And believe me, you'll want to see Brittany's face when I reveal the truth she never saw coming. The wedding was scheduled for 2 p.m. on a Saturday in June. I arrived at the Peninsula Hotel at noon, as requested, wearing a slate gray Chanel dress I'd purchased specifically for the occasion. Elegant, but understated. I wanted Brittany to shine. It was her day, after all. Or so I thought. The hotel's grand ballroom had been transformed into something from a magazine spread. White roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers, a color scheme Brittany had described in our planning meetings as millennial blush and champagne gold. I'd written the check for $127,000 just for the flowers and decor. I found Jason near the entrance, adjusting his bow tie. My son, 26 years old, nervous energy radiating from him like heat. "Mom," he kissed my cheek quickly. "You look great." "You look handsome," I said. And he did. The Tom Ford tuxedo fit him perfectly. I'd paid $4,800 for it. "Brittany's in the bridal suite," he said. "She wanted to see you before the ceremony." That should have been my first warning. I took the elevator to the third floor. The bridal suite door was open. Inside, Brittany stood in front of a full-length mirror surrounded by 4 bridesmaids and 2 photographers. Her dress was a custom Vera Wang. $38,000. I'd seen the invoice. She looked beautiful, I'll give her that. 24 years old, blonde hair in perfect waves, skin like porcelain. The kind of beauty that photographs well, the kind she'd built her Instagram following on. 847,000 followers, she told me at our first meeting, as if that was a resume. "Madeline," she air-kissed near my cheeks without actually touching me, "you're here early." "Jason said you wanted to see me." "Yes." Her smile was bright. Too bright. "I wanted to talk about the photos." One of the photographers, a young woman with a nose ring, was already positioning lights near the window. The other one, a man in all black, was adjusting a reflector. "Of course," I said, "whatever you need." Brittany glanced at her bridesmaids. Her maid of honor, a thin brunette named Ashley, smirked. I'd seen that look before. Mean girls never really grow up. They just get better at hiding it. "So, here's the thing." Brittany's voice took on a tone I'd heard her use on the phone with vendors. Sweet, but firm. "We've planned out all the photo groupings. Family portraits, bridal party, the ceremony shots. And we've realized that, well, the aesthetic we're going for is very specific." I waited. "Young, fresh, Instagram ready. You know how it is. Everything has to be on brand." "I'm not sure I understand," I said, though I was beginning to. "Madeline, you can't be in the official photos. Your skin, well, you clash with the young and clean vibe I want on my Instagram. You look old." The room went silent. Even the photographers stopped moving. I stood there in my 6,500 Chanel dress and felt something cold settle in my stomach. "I see," I said quietly. "Don't take it personally." Brittany touched my arm. Her fingers were cool. "It's just branding. You understand, right? You run a business." I did run a business, Brennan Cosmetics. My late husband, Richard, had started it 40 years ago. When he died 3 years ago, I'd taken over. Annual revenue last year was $47 million. Where would you like me during the photos? I asked. Oh, just hang back. We'll get all the shots we need, and then you can join us for the reception. She turned back to the mirror. Ashley, can you fix the strap? I was dismissed. I walked back to the elevator. My hands weren't shaking yet. That would come later. The ceremony was beautiful, I'll admit that. The string quartet played Pachelbel, Brittany walked down the aisle on her father's arm, and Jason's face when he saw her was full of love. Real love. I saw it. That made what came next worse. I sat in the third row, not the first, not even the second, the third row, behind Brittany's extended family and her influencer friends, people I'd never met, people who hadn't contributed a single dollar to this $300,000 wedding. The photographer, the man in black, was everywhere, shooting every angle, every moment. And when he got to the family portraits after the ceremony, I stood to join them. Oh, Madeline, Brittany's voice carried across the lawn where we'd gathered. We're doing the young family shots first. You can wait over there. She pointed to a bench near the catering tent. I waited. I watched as they posed, Jason and Brittany, Brittany's parents and siblings, Jason's college friends, the bridesmaids, the groomsmen. 45 minutes of photos. I was never called over. That's a wrap for family portraits, the photographer announced. Jason caught my eye. He looked uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything. He just followed Brittany toward the cocktail hour, her hand firmly in his. At 62 years old, I've learned that you can tell everything you need to know about a person by watching what they do when they think no one important is looking. Jason thought I wasn't important enough to fight for. The reception started at 6 p.m. I expected to be seated at the family table, table 1, near the head table where Jason and Brittany would sit with the bridal party. Instead, a coordinator with a clipboard directed me to table 19. I think there's a mistake, I said. I'm the groom's mother. She checked her list. Table 19, Madeline Brennan. It's all confirmed. Table 19 was in the back corner, next to the kitchen doors, next to the bathrooms. The smell of cooking food wafted out every time the kitchen doors swung open. The clatter of dishes was constant. I sat down. The other people at the table were Jason's distant relatives, second cousins, a great uncle I'd met once at a funeral. None of them had been invited to the rehearsal dinner. None of them had been asked to participate in any wedding activities. We were the overflow, the people who had to be invited but didn't matter. Madeline, Jason's great-uncle Frank was 81, hard of hearing. Didn't expect to see you back here. Neither did I, Frank. What's that? Nothing. From table 19, I had a perfect view of the head table. Brittany was radiant, laughing, taking selfies with her bridesmaids. Every few minutes, she'd check her phone, scrolling through what I assumed were the photos already being posted by guests. Her maid of honor, Ashley, stood and tapped her glass. The room quieted. I've known Brittany since we were 12, Ashley began, and I've never seen her happier than she is with Jason. He treats her like a queen. He gives her everything she wants. Laughter from the crowd. Knowing laughter. And let's be real, Ashley continued. Marrying into money doesn't hurt. More laughter. Brittany covered her face in mock embarrassment. I set down my fork carefully. The chicken on my plate was cold. Jason's cousin Melissa, sitting next to me, leaned over. This is awkward, right? You being back here? Very, I said. I heard Brittany plan the whole seating chart herself. Apparently she wanted table 1 to be Instagram people only. Melissa rolled her eyes, whatever that means. It meant influencers, people with followers, people who could boost Brittany's engagement. I excused myself and headed to the bathroom. The women's restroom was down a hallway, away from the ballroom. Marble counters, soft lighting, fresh orchids in crystal vases. I'd approved this upgrade, an extra $3,400 to use the premium restroom instead of the standard one. I was touching up my lipstick when I heard voices outside. The door was slightly ajar. Thank God the old lady stayed back there, Brittany's voice unmistakable. I froze. I know, right? Ashley's voice. I think this was a joke. I just have to put up with her until she signs the deed to the $5 million mansion tonight, Brittany laughed. After the house is ours and Jason inherits the company, we'll put her in a cheap nursing home, one of those places that smells like pee. You're terrible, Ashley was laughing too. I'm practical. Jason's already agreed to it. Once we have the house and the business, we don't need her anymore. She's 62. What's she going to do? Live forever? What if she doesn't sign tonight? She will. She's desperate to be loved, desperate to be included. It's kind of sad, honestly. All that money and nobody actually likes her. When are you posting the wedding photos? Tonight. I want them up before anyone else can post theirs. I'm thinking the caption should be something like, "Married my best friend," with a bunch of ring emojis. My engagement's already up 14% this week. You're going to hit 1 million followers by the end of summer. That's the plan. And once I'm living in that mansion, the content is going to be insane. I'm thinking home tours, lifestyle content, maybe a YouTube channel. This is just the beginning. Their voices faded as they walked away. I looked at myself in the mirror. My reflection stared back. Same gray dress, same carefully applied makeup, same face I'd had for 62 years. I didn't look pathetic. I looked furious. I pulled out my phone and called Mr. Sterling. He answered on the first ring. "Mrs. Brennan, how's the wedding?" "Bring the red folder, the change to the will. Now." Now? It's Saturday evening. Now, Charles, I'm at the Peninsula Hotel. Park in the back and wait for my call. Is everything all right? Everything is about to be. I hung up, fixed my lipstick, smoothed my dress. Then I walked back into that ballroom like nothing had happened. Because I'd learned something important in my 62 years. Revenge is a dish best served cold, and I was about to serve it in front of 247 wedding guests. I need to back up, because the wedding day wasn't the first time Brittany had shown me who she really was. I'd just been too hopeful to see the pattern. Jason had introduced me to Brittany 8 months earlier, in October. They'd been dating for 4 months at that point. "Mom, I want you to meet someone. She's special." We met for lunch at the Ivy. I arrived early. I always do. When they walked in, I saw her immediately. Beautiful, young, dressed in designer clothes that I recognized because I'd been wearing designer clothes before she was born. "Madeline!" She air-kissed me exactly the way she would at the wedding. "Jason's told me so much about you." "All good things, I hope?" "Of course." Her smile was practiced. Perfect. "He said you run a cosmetics company. That's so cool." "It keeps me busy." Lunch was pleasant. Surface level pleasant. She asked questions about the business but didn't really listen to the answers. She spent a lot of time checking her phone, taking photos of her food before eating. "Sorry," she said, noticing me. "I have to post. My followers expect content." "How many followers do you have?" 847,000 on Instagram. I'm almost at 1 million. She said it the way someone might say they were almost finished with medical school, like it was an achievement. "That's impressive," I lied. After lunch, Jason walked me to my car. "She's great, right?" His eyes were hopeful. "She's very pretty," I said carefully. "I think she might be the one, Mom." "You've only known her 4 months." "When you know, you know." He kissed my cheek. "I'm happy. Isn't that what matters?" It should be, but something about Brittany felt off, like a painting that looks perfect until you realize the perspective is wrong. 2 weeks later, Jason called me. "Mom, Brittany and I are engaged." My heart sank. That's wonderful. Congratulations. We want to get married next June. Big wedding. Really special. June is beautiful. The thing is, he paused, Brittany's parents can contribute about $15,000, and I'm still paying off my student loans, so we were hoping. You want me to pay for the wedding? If you could, I know it's a lot to ask. It wasn't, actually. I had the money. Richard's life insurance alone was $3 million. The company was worth $47 million. My personal investment portfolio was $12 million. I could afford a wedding. How much are you thinking? I asked. Brittany's been researching. She's thinking the Peninsula Hotel. Really elegant. She's estimating around $200,000. $200,000 for a one-day event? Let me think about it, I said. Mom, please, I love her. I want to give her the wedding she deserves. That word, deserves, like Brittany had earned something through the sheer fact of her existence. I'll call you tomorrow, I said. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about Jason's face when he talked about her. Real love. He really loved her. I called him the next morning. I'll pay for the wedding. Really? Mom, thank you. His relief was palpable. But I want to be involved in the planning. Of course, Brittany will love having your input. She didn't. The first planning meeting was in November. Brittany had already hired a wedding planner named Simone. They'd already booked the Peninsula Hotel. They'd already chosen the date. I arrived with a notebook and questions. So, the deposit for the hotel was $50,000, Simone said, sliding paperwork across the table. We've already put that down. With whose money? I asked. Brittany blinked. Well, we assumed you were paying for it. I never said yes to a specific venue. But you said you'd pay for the wedding. I did, but I didn't agree to $50,000 before we even discussed it. Simone cleared her throat. The deposit is non-refundable. I looked at Jason. He was staring at his hands. Fine, I said, but from now on, I approve all expenses before any deposits are made. Of course, Brittany said sweetly. We want you involved. But they didn't. Over the next months, I'd get bills for things I'd never approved. $38,000 for her dress, $15,000 for the photographer, $12,000 for the videographer, $127,000 for flowers. Every time I questioned something, Brittany would say, "Don't you want Jason to be happy?" And I'd write the check. In March, 4 months before the wedding, Brittany invited me to her apartment for a planning session, she'd said. I arrived with fabric swatches and menu options. She answered the door in yoga pants and a crop top. Come in, I just finished a workout. She was filming herself on her phone. Guys, Jason's mom is here. Say hi, Madeline. She pointed the camera at me. I smiled uncomfortably. You don't have to be shy, she said. My followers love seeing real people. Real people, as opposed to what? The filtered, curated version of herself she posted daily? We sat in her living room. It was small, one bedroom in a mediocre building in West Hollywood. Jason had told me he'd been helping with rent. Helping. Another word for paying. So I wanted to talk about gifts. Gifts? I asked. For the wedding, Jason mentioned you might be giving us something special. I hadn't mentioned anything, but I'd been thinking about it. I owned a house in Pasadena, 5 bedrooms, pool, guest house, worth approximately $5 million. Richard and I had bought it 30 years ago. I'd been planning to leave it to Jason in my will. I was thinking of giving you the Pasadena house. Her face lit up. Real joy. The first genuine emotion I'd seen from her. The one with the pool? Jason showed me photos. It's gorgeous. It needs some updating, but we can do that. Oh my God, Madeline, this is perfect. I've been looking at houses and everything in our budget is so small and sad. Our budget. meaning Jason's entry-level salary at a marketing firm, $62,000 a year. I'm glad you like it. Like it? I love it. When can we move in? After the wedding. I'll have the deed transferred. She hugged me, the first physical affection she'd ever shown. Thank you. This is going to be amazing content. My followers are going to die when they see the house tours. Content, not a home. Content. I should have known then. In May, 1 month before the wedding, Jason called me on a Tuesday evening. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. Brittany's been thinking, after the wedding, after we have the house, she was wondering about your estate planning. My stomach dropped. My estate planning? Like what happens to the company when you know, eventually. When I die. Yeah, she's just curious. Jason, I'm 62. I'm not planning to die anytime soon. I know. She likes to plan ahead. The company goes to you, you know that. Right, but she was asking if that's official, like in writing. It's in my will, yes. Okay, good. That's good. She'll be happy to hear that. Why does Brittany care about my will? She doesn't. She's just thinking about our future, our security. You're 26 years old, you have a job, you're about to have a $5 million house. How much more security do you need? Mom, don't be like that. Like what? Defensive. She's going to be family. Family. I'd been family to Jason for 26 years, but apparently Brittany's 8-month relationship meant her concerns outweighed my discomfort. Tell Brittany my estate planning is private, I said. She's going to be my wife, and I'm your mother. Some things stay private. He hung up, frustrated. I sat in my empty house and wondered when my son had stopped being mine. The rehearsal dinner was the Friday before the wedding. I had offered to host. Something intimate, I'd suggested, just immediate family. Brittany had other ideas. We're inviting the bridal party too, she'd said, and a few close friends, maybe 40 people total. 40 people at Spago Beverly Hills cost me $8,700. I arrived early to check the arrangements. The private room looked beautiful. I'd pre-ordered champagne, good champagne, Dom Perignon, $385 a bottle. Jason arrived with Brittany. She was wearing a white rehearsal dinner dress. Tight, short, very Instagram. Madeline, she hugged me. The cameras were watching. Everything looks amazing. I'm glad you like it. The dinner started. Toasts began. Brittany's father stood first. I've known Jason for less than a year, he said, but I can already tell he's going to take good care of my little girl. Applause, laughter. Jason's best man stood next. Jason's always been lucky. Good job, good family, good money, and now he's marrying the hottest woman any of us know. More laughter. Brittany blew a kiss. I waited for someone to toast me, the woman paying for everything, the woman who'd given them a $5 million house. No one did. At the end of dinner, Brittany stood up. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's made this wedding possible. My parents for their love and support, Jason for being my perfect partner, and Simone, our amazing wedding planner. She sat down. She didn't mention me. Jason squeezed her hand, smiled at her, didn't notice the omission. I went home that night and sat in my bedroom. Richard's photo was on the nightstand. He'd been dead for 3 years, but I still talk to him sometimes. They're using our son, I said to the photo, and he can't even see it. The photo didn't answer, but I knew what Richard would have said. Then show him. The wedding was at 2 p.m. After Brittany had banned me from the photos, after I'd been seated at table 19, after I'd overheard her in the bathroom, I sat at that table near the kitchen and waited. Mr. Sterling called me at 7:15 p.m. I'm in the parking lot, Mrs. Brennan. I have the red folder. Stay there. I'll call you when I need you. I watched the reception continue. Dinner was served, speeches were made, the cake was cut, a 7-tier monstrosity that had cost $4,200. Brittany fed Jason a piece. He fed her one. She made sure to pose at the perfect angle for the photographer. At 8 p.m., the DJ announced a special moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the mother of the groom, Madeline Brennan, would like to say a few words. I hadn't asked to speak, but Brittany was looking at me from the head table, smiling her practiced smile. This was it, the moment she expected me to hand over the keys to the mansion, to give my speech about how happy I was, how blessed. I stood up, smoothed my dress, walked to the microphone. The room quieted. 247 guests, all eyes on me. "Thank you," I said. My voice was steady. "I won't take much of your time. I know you're all here to celebrate Jason and Brittany." Applause. "Brittany, you look absolutely beautiful tonight. The photos are going to be stunning." She beamed. Jason was watching me, relaxed now, thinking this was going well. "You know, Brittany told me something earlier today that really stuck with me. She said I was too old for the photos, that I clashed with the young and clean vibe she wanted." The room went very quiet. Jason's face paled. And you know what? She was right. I am 62 years old. I do have wrinkles. I do look my age. Brittany's smile was frozen. But here's the thing about being 62. You learn a few things. You learn that beauty fades, that Instagram followers don't pay the mortgage, that youth is temporary, but character is permanent. I paused. Let that sink in. Brittany also told me, well, she told her bridesmaids, but I happened to overhear, that she just had to put up with me until I signed over the $5 million house tonight, and that once Jason inherited my company, they'd put me in a cheap nursing home. Gasps. Actual gasps from the crowd. Brittany stood up. I never... Ashley, you were there. Would you like to confirm? I looked at the maid of honor. Ashley looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. I have a recording if you'd like to hear it, I said calmly. I didn't, but she didn't know that. Jason was staring at Brittany. You said that? Jason, no, she's lying. Here's what's going to happen. I pulled out my phone, dialed Mr. Sterling. You can come in now. The doors to the ballroom opened. Mr. Sterling walked in, briefcase in hand. 68 years old, gray hair, expensive suit. He looked like exactly what he was, a lawyer who handled 9-figure estates. This is Charles Sterling, I said. My attorney. Charles, do you have the updated documents? I do, Mrs. Brennan. He opened his briefcase, pulled out a folder, read. Read them, please. Mr. Sterling adjusted his glasses. The room was silent, except for the clatter of dishes from the kitchen. Document 1. Amendment to Wedding Payment Agreement. The $300,000 paid by Madeline Brennan for this wedding is hereby converted to a loan, to be repaid by Jason Brennan at a rate of $2,500 per month for the next 10 years, with 6% interest. Deductions will be taken directly from his salary. Jason's face went white. Document 2. Property transfer cancellation. The residence located at 847 Hillcrest Drive, Pasadena, California, previously intended as a gift to Jason and Brittany Brennan, has been donated to the Los Angeles Animal Rescue Foundation as of 7:45 p.m. this evening. The deed transfer is complete and irrevocable. Brittany made a sound, a small, strangled sound. Document 3. Will Amendment. Jason Brennan is hereby removed as beneficiary of the Brennan Cosmetics Company and all associated assets until such time as he divorces Brittany Morrison Brennan. Should he remain married to her, the company will be transferred to the Brennan Foundation upon Madeline Brennan's death. The room exploded. Voices, shouting, chaos. Brittany was gripping the table. You can't do this. I can, actually. It's my money, my company, my house. Jason, say something. She turned to him. Tell her she can't do this. Jason was staring at me. Not angry, just broken. Did you really say those things? He asked her quietly. About putting my mom in a nursing home? I was joking. Ashley, tell him I was joking. Ashley was crying. Brittany. We can fix this, Brittany said, turning back to me. Madeline, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was stressed about the wedding, please. She was begging, actually begging. I called you old. You banned me from photos at the wedding I paid for. You put me at a table by the kitchen, and you planned to discard me the moment you got what you wanted. I'm sorry. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. Mr. Sterling cleared his throat. Mrs. Brennan, the documents are filed. Everything is legal and binding. Thank you, Charles. I looked at the crowd. Enjoy the rest of the wedding. The bar is little open. I've paid for everything until midnight. I turned to leave. Mom! Jason's voice. Mom, wait! I didn't wait. I walked through those ballroom doors, through the hotel lobby, out to the valet stand where my car was already waiting, because I'd called ahead. Behind me, I heard a crash, a scream. Later, I'd find out Brittany had fainted, fallen right into the 7-tier, $4,200 cake. But I didn't see it. I was already gone.
I drove home in silence. My hands were shaking now, not from fear, from adrenaline. At 62 years old, I'd just publicly humiliated my son and his new wife. I'd ruined their wedding. I'd taken away everything they'd expected. And I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. My phone started ringing before I even got home. Jason, then Brittany, then numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it off. When I got home, I poured myself a glass of Richard's 40-year-old scotch, the bottle he'd been saving for a special occasion, $1,200 a bottle. This felt special enough. I sat in the living room, our living room, the one Richard and I had furnished over 30 years of marriage. Everything in this house had a story. The Persian rug from our trip to Iran in 1989, the painting over the fireplace from a gallery in Paris, the piano Richard had bought me for our 10th anniversary. Brittany would have taken photos of all of it, posted them, turned our life into content. My phone, even off, seemed to pulse with unread messages. I turned it back on. 47 missed calls, 89 text messages. I read a few. Jason, please call me. Jason, Brittany is hysterical. Jason, how could you do this? Jason, we need to talk. Brittany, you ruined my wedding. Brittany, I will sue you. Brittany, Jason will never forgive you. I deleted them all, poured more scotch. The house felt very quiet. It had felt quiet for 3 years since Richard died, but this was a different quiet. This was the quiet of a decision made, a bridge burned. I thought about what Brittany had said in the bathroom. She's desperate to be loved, desperate to be included. Maybe I had been. Maybe I'd paid for that wedding because some part of me thought it would buy me love, buy me inclusion, buy me relevance in my son's new life. But you can't buy love. You can only buy performance of love. And Brittany had performed beautifully, right up until she thought the cameras were off. I finished my scotch, went upstairs, changed out of my Chanel dress, put on pajamas, washed off my makeup. In the mirror, I looked at my 62-year-old face. The wrinkles, Brittany had said, clashed with her aesthetic. The age spots, the lines around my eyes from smiling for 40 years. I didn't look old. I looked like I'd lived. There's a difference. Sunday morning, I woke up to the sound of someone pounding on my door. I looked out the bedroom window, Jason's car in the driveway. I went downstairs, opened the door. He was still in his tuxedo pants and a wrinkled white shirt. He looked like he hadn't slept. Mom. Jason? Can I come in? I stepped aside. He walked past me into the living room, the same living room where I'd taught him to play piano, where we'd opened Christmas presents, where Richard had read him bedtime stories. "Brittany's at the hotel," he said. "She won't stop crying." "I see. How could you do that at our wedding? How could she ban me from photos? How could she seat me by the kitchen? How could she plan to put me in a nursing home?" "She said she didn't mean it." "She said it, Jason. I heard her exact words." He sat down heavily on the couch, put his head in his hands. "I don't know what to do." "You could start by believing your mother over the woman you've known for less than a year." "I love her." "I know you do." "Can we fix this? Can you undo the documents?" "No." "Mom, please." "Jason, do you understand what she was planning? She wanted my house, my company. She wanted to warehouse me somewhere cheap and wait for me to die." "She was joking." "She wasn't. And deep down, you know that." He didn't respond. "The house is gone," I said. "I donated it to the Animal Rescue Foundation. They're going to use it for rehabilitation programs. That deed is done." "That was my inheritance." "It was my house. I earned it. Your father and I bought it with money we worked for." "I'm your son." "Yes, and I love you. But that doesn't mean you're entitled to my assets, especially not when your wife plans to use them against me." "The wedding loan. Mom, I can't afford $2,500 a month. Not with my salary." "Then you'll need to get a better job, or live more modestly, or have Brittany contribute. She does have 847,000 followers, after all." "That's not how Instagram works." "Then maybe she should get a real job." His face flushed. Anger now. Good. Better than self-pity. "You did this to punish me. I did this to protect myself. There's a difference. We're family." "We are, which is why it hurts so much that you let her treat me that way." I sat down across from him. "Jason, you watched her ban me from photos. You saw where she seated me. You didn't say a word." "I didn't know." "You knew. You just chose to ignore it because it was easier than confronting her." He was quiet for a long moment. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to think about who you married and why. I want you to think about whether you love her or the idea of her, and I want you to decide if you're going to be a man who lets his wife discard his mother or a man who stands up for what's right." "She's my wife now." "Then you've made your choice." He stood up. "The company. If I divorce her, you'll put me back in the will?" "Yes." "That's blackmail." "That's consequences. You married someone who planned to abuse me. You get to live with that choice or fix it." He left without saying goodbye. Monday afternoon, Brittany showed up. I saw her through the window. Designer dress, sunglasses. She'd driven herself in Jason's car. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. She stood on my doorstep, looking smaller than she had at the wedding. No photographer, no audience, just her. "Madeline." "Brittany." "Can we talk?" "What's left to say?" "I'm sorry." She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red. "I was wrong. What I said in the bathroom, I was awful. I know that." "Yes, you were." "I was showing off for Ashley, trying to sound tough. I didn't mean it." "You meant it enough to say it." People say things they don't mean all the time. Not about putting their mother-in-law in a nursing home, they don't. She bit her lip. I'd seen this expression before. This was her wounded look, her vulnerable influencer face, the one that generated sympathy in comments. "I need that house, Madeline." "I'm sure you do." "But Jason and I can't afford anything in our budget that's nice enough for my content. Do you know what rent costs in LA for a decent place?" "I know you'll survive in something modest." "But my followers expect a certain lifestyle." "Then get a job that pays for that lifestyle, or lower their expectations." "I can't just get a job. I'm an influencer." "Influencer isn't a job, Brittany. It's a hobby that sometimes makes money." Her face hardened. There it was, the real person under the performance. "You're bitter," she said. "You're old and bitter, and you're jealous that I'm young and beautiful, and your son chose me." "I'm old," I agreed, "but I'm not bitter. I'm realistic. And in 20 years, you'll be old too. What happens to your followers then? I'll be established by then. You'll be 44, and there will be new 24-year-olds doing exactly what you're doing, but fresher, younger, more relevant. That's not, it's exactly how it works. Youth is your only commodity, Brittany, and it's the one commodity that depreciates." She was quiet. I'd hit something true. The house is gone. The company stays mine until Jason divorces you. Those are the terms. He won't divorce me. Then he won't inherit. Simple. You're destroying your relationship with your son. No, you did that when you decided to treat me like trash. She put her sunglasses back on. He'll choose me. You know that, right? He loves me. We'll see. She left, drove away in Jason's car. I watched her go and felt nothing. Not anger, not pity. Nothing. At 62, you learn that some people aren't worth your emotional energy. Tuesday, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Mrs. Brennan, this is Simone Chen. I was the wedding planner for Jason and Brittany." "I remember." "I'm calling because Brittany has refused to pay the final invoice. She says you promised to cover all wedding costs, and since the wedding happened, you're legally obligated to pay." "What's the amount?" $47,300. DJ, final catering charges, cake, overtime for vendors. "Send the invoice to Brittany. She's married to Jason now. They can figure it out." "But you agreed." "I agreed to pay for a wedding where I was treated with respect. I was banned from photos and seated by the kitchen. Contracts void." "That's not how contracts work." "Then sue me. I have excellent lawyers." I hung up. Simone didn't call back. Tuesday, Jason's best man called me, Tyler. I'd met him at the rehearsal dinner. "Mrs. Brennan, this is Tyler Kim, Jason's friend." "Yes?" "Look, I don't really know how to say this, but Jason's a mess. He's been sleeping on my couch. Brittany's still at the Peninsula Hotel. She maxed out their credit card on room service." "That sounds like their problem." "He's my best friend. I've never seen him like this." "What do you want me to do about it?" "Maybe talk to him? Work something out?" I offered him a choice. He made it. He's 26 years old. He made a mistake. He married someone who planned to institutionalize his mother. That's not a mistake. That's a character flaw. Tyler was quiet. Then, "For what it's worth, I never liked Brittany. None of us did. We tried to tell him." "But he didn't listen?" "No." "Thank you for calling, Tyler." "You're not going to help him?" "I am helping him. I'm teaching him that actions have consequences." Thursday morning, I got an email from Brittany's father. Subject line, legal action. "Mrs. Brennan, I am writing to inform you that my daughter Brittany plans to pursue legal action against you for intentional infliction of emotional distress, breach of contract, and defamation. You humiliated her publicly and destroyed her reputation. She has lost 127,000 Instagram followers since Sunday. If you do not restore the house deed and remove the conditions from your will within 48 hours, we will proceed with litigation. Regards, Thomas Morrison." I forwarded it to Mr. Sterling with one line. "Respond appropriately." He called me an hour later, laughing. "I've drafted a response. Would you like to hear it?" "Please." He read, "Mr. Morrison, your daughter planned to institutionalize my client after stealing her assets. This was stated in her own words, overheard by Mrs. Brennan and corroborated by witnesses. Any lawsuit will result in these statements being entered into public record. We welcome litigation. Regards, Charles Sterling, Esquire." "Perfect," I said. "Do you actually have corroboration?" "Ashley heard everything Brittany said. She was right there." "Will she testify?" "If we pay her, probably."
Mr. Sterling chuckled. I'll send this. They won't sue. He was right. They didn't. Friday, exactly a week after the wedding, Jason showed up again. This time he looked worse. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, exhausted. I left her, he said. I didn't respond, just waited. He moved out of Tyler's place, got his own apartment, studio, $1,800 a month, and Van Nuys. Good for you. He called me 47 times yesterday. Did you answer? No. He sat down without being invited. I've been thinking about what you said, about standing up for what's right. And? You were right, about everything. She was using us. I know. You didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. Love makes us blind. It wasn't love, though, was it? I loved the idea of her. Beautiful, successful, exciting. But I didn't actually know her. This was the most mature thing I'd heard my son say in years. No, I agreed. You didn't. I filed for divorce Wednesday morning. I felt something loosen in my chest. Good. She threatened to take half my assets. You've been married 6 days. You have no assets. And California law requires 10 years for permanent spousal support. She said she'd go to the press. Tell them you abused her. Let her. Mr. Sterling has a file 6 inches thick on her scheming. She won't risk discovery. Jason looked at me, really looked at me. I'm sorry, Mom. For what, specifically? For letting her treat you that way. For not defending you. For choosing her over you. Thank you. Can you forgive me? Eventually. But forgiveness takes time, Jason. You hurt me deeply. I know. His voice cracked. I know. We sat in silence for a while. The will, he said finally. When the divorce is final, you'll be reinstated. The company will be yours when I die. But Jason, yeah, I'm 62. I plan to live another 30 years at least, so don't start spending your inheritance just yet. He laughed, a real laugh, the first one I'd heard from him in months. Deal, he said. 3 weeks after the wedding, Brittany requested a meeting. Mr. Sterling advised against it. Nothing good can come from this, he said. But I was curious. I wanted to see her one more time, without the audience, without the performance. We met at a coffee shop in Brentwood, neutral territory. I arrived first, ordered an Americano, sat by the window. She arrived 15 minutes late, intentionally late, I suspected, a power play. She looked different, thinner. Her hair wasn't as perfect. Her clothes were still designer, but something about her energy had changed. Madeline. She sat down without ordering anything. Brittany. Thank you for meeting me. What do you want? I want you to know that I'm not the villain you think I am. I sipped my coffee. Waited. I came from nothing, she said. My parents are middle class. We're not poor, but we're not rich either. I built my Instagram from zero. 847,000 followers. That's real work. Is it? Yes, it is. Do you know how hard it is to stand out online, to build a brand, to engage with thousands of people daily? I run a $47 million company, Brittany. I know about branding. It's different. It's not. You create content, I create products. Both require marketing, but only one of us creates something tangible. Her jaw tightened. I loved Jason. Past tense? I love Jason, but he's chosen you over me. He's chosen self-respect over manipulation. There's a difference. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did, intentionally. You banned me from photos, you put me at table 19, you planned to warehouse me in a nursing home. I was scared. Her voice rose. Other people in the coffee shop looked over. She lowered it. I was scared you'd always be in the way, that Jason would always choose you over me, that I'd never be enough. So your solution was to eliminate me? My solution was to create boundaries. Boundaries don't involve nursing homes, Brittany. She was quiet. Then, what do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. Then why did you agree to meet? Because I wanted to see if you'd take responsibility, if you'd admit what you did without excuses. I admit it. I was cruel. I was calculating. I wanted your money and your house, and I didn't care about you. Finally. Truth. Thank you, I said.
Does that change anything? No. The divorce is going to ruin me. My followers are dropping every day. Everyone knows what happened. I'm a joke online. You made yourself a joke when you prioritized aesthetic over humanity. I'm 24 years old. I made a mistake. You made dozens of calculated decisions. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. She stood up abruptly. You're going to die alone, you know that. Cold and bitter and alone. Maybe, but I'll die with my dignity intact. Can you say the same? She left without responding. I finished my coffee slowly, watched through the window as she got into an Uber. Couldn't afford her own car, apparently. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. Revenge is exhausting.
6 months later. It's December now, the same month Richard died 3 years ago. But this December feels different. The divorce was finalized in September. Jason got nothing. Brittany got nothing. The marriage was annulled due to fraud. Mr. Sterling found documentation that she'd lied about her student loan debt on their mortgage application for a house they'd tried to buy before the wedding. Her Instagram is down to 390,000 followers. She posts occasionally. Sponsored content for small brands, diet teas, fast fashion. Jason lives in that studio in Van Nuys. He got a new job at a startup, $85,000 a year. Better. He's paying back the wedding loan at $2,500 a month. He'll be gone in 8 years. We have dinner once a week, Tuesday nights, nothing fancy. Usually my house. I cook. We talk. Last Tuesday, he told me he was dating someone new, a teacher. She's 29, makes $54,000 a year, has no Instagram presence. She's kind, he said. That's what I notice most. She's just kind. That's a good quality, I said. It's the most important one, isn't it? Yes. The Pasadena house is now the Morrison Center for Animal Rehabilitation. They've already helped 247 animals, dogs mostly, some cats, a few exotic rescues. I drive by sometimes, see the dogs playing in what used to be my pool. They've converted it into a training facility. Richard would have liked that. He always wanted a dog. Brennan Cosmetics had its best year ever, $52 million in revenue. I've started a new line, targeted at women over 60. It's called Visible. The tagline is, "Age isn't invisible, neither are you." It's outselling our younger demographics. Brittany sent me an email last week. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won again. Madeline, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted you to know that I'm in therapy, dealing with a lot of things. Narcissism, mostly. My therapist says I have trouble seeing other people as real, as having feelings that matter as much as mine. You were right about everything. I was using Jason. I was cruel to you, and I've lost everything because of it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I hear you. I see what I did. I'm 25 now, still young, but I think maybe old enough to finally grow up. B. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Some apologies don't require acceptance. They just require acknowledgement. If this story reminded you of a time when you were underestimated, dismissed, or treated as invisible, drop a blue in the comments below if you've ever had to teach someone that you're not to be dismissed. And if these stories feel like the company you need right now, hit that subscribe button, because every week we share confessions of courage from women who refuse to shrink themselves to make others comfortable. You're not alone in this, and you never have to be. I'm traveling now. Europe for 3 months. Richard and I always planned to do this together. The Amalfi Coast, Paris, Prague, but he died before we could. So I'm doing it alone, and it's not lonely. It's peaceful. I'm sitting in a cafe in Rome right now, watching the sunset over the Colosseum, drinking wine that costs 40 euros a glass because I can. A young couple just sat down next to me. They're taking selfies, checking their phones, performing their relationship for an invisible audience. I don't judge them. We all perform in our own ways. But I'm glad I'm past that stage. Glad I'm old enough to know that real life happens in the moments between the photos, in the quiet conversations, in the choices no one sees. At 62, I've learned something important. Being underestimated is a strategic advantage. When people think you're weak, they show you exactly who they are. They reveal their plans, their cruelty, their greed, and then you get to decide what to do about it. I chose justice, not revenge. Justice. There's a difference. Brittany lost her house and her marriage and her followers, but she gained something too, apparently. Self-awareness. It's a start. Jason lost his inheritance temporarily, his wife and his illusions, but he gained perspective, maturity, kindness. I lost $300,000, a lot of stress, and the fantasy of a happy blended family, but I gained my dignity, my boundaries, my peace. Fair trade, I think. Tomorrow I'm going to Florence. There's a small cosmetics museum there I want to visit. Research for a new product line. Always working. Richard used to tease me about that. "Maddie," he'd say, "you don't know how to rest." "I'll rest when I'm dead," I'd tell him. He's been dead 3 years. I'm still working. Maybe that's my version of immortality. Building something that outlasts me. Something that helps women see themselves as visible, as valuable, as worth investing in. At 62, I'm just getting started. And the next person who tries to put me at table 19 is going to learn exactly what Brittany learned. I may look old, but I'm not weak. I'm strategic. I'm patient. And I always, always keep receipts. Some lessons are expensive to learn, but they're worth every penny. Until next time, stay strong.